Notorious Thief. Episode 1. The story I want to tell you today happened many years ago. To understand it, I'll take you to a poor rural area in Chongqing province, where it all began. Our story will start with the boy you are seeing. His name is Ben. Although he was born in a poor rural area, his parents were very interested in Ben's education. Because according to them, only studying really well can help Ben get out of poverty and boring life in the countryside. Not betraying the wishes of his parents, Ben studies very hard and always achieves good results. Thanks to his academic achievements, Ben is the one with the best academic record in the class. In addition, the list of excellent students of the school always has his name. In the eyes of teachers and friends, Ben is a friendly and good student, and his parents are very proud of this. Everything was normally going until Ben entered high school. Ben began to have other interests. Studying was no longer the only thing that interested him. During this time, what Ben couldn't stay away from were martial arts novels. The image of philanthropic heroes, always ready to help the needy, robbing the rich and giving to the poor. Soon, Ben became obsessed with those images, wishing he could one day set foot on the path that his idols have walked. As Ben becomes more and more distracted with his studies and poor results, his personality gradually changes. Once a gentle and friendly boy, now Ben has become taciturn. Not only that, but he also often fights with people he considers to be bad guys. Therefore, Ben's list of enemies is getting longer and longer. But this does not seem to bother Ben. The more enemies he has, the more excited he becomes. Because at such times, Ben feels that he is very similar to the heroes he still idolizes in the pages of novels. Even if he was beaten to the point of tearing his skin and bleeding, Ben did not even cry out. In addition to showing his stubbornness in front of opponents, intelligence is also an extremely powerful weapon of Ben. In each fight, Ben finds the heart of the match and uses it to find a way to win. This time too, Ben soon saw the leader of the children attacking him. To defeat an opponent, the first thing is to destroy the leader. This principle, Ben is the one who understands better than anyone. After enduring the consecutive blows of his juniors, Ben quickly chose the right time to rush into the leader. Too surprised by this action of Ben, the leader was extremely surprised. Suddenly his limbs became flustered, not knowing how to handle it. In each battle, slowness equals corresponding consequences. Still not knowing how to deal with Ben, the face of the leader received a full blow like heaven. Blood gushed from the nose incessantly. After successfully knocking down the opponent, Ben didn't give the boy a chance to fight back. Repeatedly accurate and powerful punches were repeatedly hit in the leader's face. Soon, the opponent was beaten so bloody that he could not stand up. At this point, Ben turned his face. He used his cold eyes to look at the remaining opponents in turn. After such constant fights, Ben's reputation became more and more known to students. Not only students but teachers also began to notice Ben. What others refer to Ben now is no longer the image of a model student but the fear of the students and the boredom of the teacher. Because of this, even with good academic results, it did not prevent Ben from being expelled from school. As time passed, the good boy Ben was gone, replaced by a quiet guy who only knew how to focus on work all day. After being expelled from school for a while, Ben started to apply for a job at a sand mining site, but it wasn't long before he was fired because he had no more sand to mine. Once again, life deprived him of a chance. After wandering around looking for a job without success, Ben only knew about the riverbank where he used to sit and study when he was a child. He thought about what had happened in his life there. He was so fed up with life in this poor countryside. Ben dreams of a vast world outside. where heroes always exist and reach out to help people like him. In the end, Ben could not sit still waiting for the hero to come to his aid. Ben decided to become the hero himself, following the model he had idolized since childhood. Of all the ways he thought about it, Ben ultimately chose to rob a bank, using the money he stole to help people like him. After careful calculations, in 1993, Ben decided to go to the city near where he lived to implement the plan. While loitering in front of the bank gate looking for an opportunity to break in, unfortunately for Ben, when he encountered a police patrol. Looking at Ben's attitude, they began to doubt. After taking a closer look, they discovered that Ben seemed to have something hidden inside of him. Immediately they approached and asked Ben to take out what he was hiding inside. With no other choice, Ben had to take out the gun he had hidden in his body. Although the police confirmed that Ben intended to rob a bank, at the time of his arrest, Ben did not take any action to commit this crime. Ben was eventually convicted of illegal gun possession and sent to the city jail for a 2-year sentence. During those 2 years in prison, Ben met many people who were called the bosses of the underworld. From them, the image of a heroic hero was further strengthened in Ben's heart. After being released from prison, Ben quickly found a gun supplier on the black market, thanks to what he heard from the bosses in prison. Holding the gun in his hand, Ben couldn't hide his satisfied smile. Although a pistol is not as powerful as a rifle, it is easier to conceal. Ben doesn't want to repeat the previous mistake again, because once caught, the price Ben has to pay will not be 2 years like before. But because he just got out of prison, Ben's actions are closely monitored by the authorities and police. Ben decided to create an exemplary citizen cover to avoid tracking. So it wasn't until 2004 that Ben committed his first robbery. The target that Ben chose was 2 female employees of a large hotel in the city. After watching, Ben decided to take action on the day the 2 women withdrew money to pay employees. At this time, a series of notorious robbers were killed or arrested one after another. The security situation also improved, so people were no longer as vigilant as before. That's why when going to withdraw a huge amount of money, only 2 women went together without a guard. Already waiting near the 2 women's car, before the car door could open, Ben approached. Without saying a word, he coldly pointed the gun at the woman closest to him and fired decisively and quickly. Having imagined the scene 1,000 times a day, Ben did not show any fear when he first killed someone. He was chillingly calm. Contrary to him, the other woman was so scared that she didn't think she would encounter this situation even in a dream. Just like that, she stood like a statue, unable to even scream. Without hesitation, Ben immediately raised his gun and shot the poor girl in the head. After killing the 2 women, Ben quickly went over to examine the 2 bodies. Less than a minute later, the bag containing the money was in Ben's hand. After performing the robbery neatly, Ben immediately ran away. As he ran, he had a gun in his hand. His thinking now was that anyone who stopped him would die. When people on the street saw him like that, no one dared to interfere, just trying to stay away from him as far as possible. The robbery was quite far from where Ben lived, so he was in no hurry to return to his residence. Ben rented a room in a hotel to spend the night. He would return home very early the next morning. Ben poured all the money he had just stolen onto the bed as soon as he entered the room. In front of Ben, on the bed, was a huge amount of money. Since he was a baby, Ben had never seen such a large amount of money. Later, from the police's information, the amount of money that Ben had stolen was nearly $9,000. Seeing such a large pile of money made Ben feel really excited. For nearly 10 years after being released from prison, all the money that Ben earns is not even half of the money in bed now. But another thing that excites Ben is the ease of getting this money. Ben glanced at the gun next to him. His mind flashed with images of other stacks of money. Greed is like that. It never lets others stop. Once you have achieved what you want, it will urge people to keep moving towards other goals, even if it is illegal. The next robbery is natural, but Ben is in no hurry. He waits for the previous robbery to subside. It was not until a year later, Ben continued to act in mid-2005 when everyone had almost forgotten about the last robbery. As a pedestrian walking on the street, Ben walked a few times in front of the bank without anyone noticing. On the surface, he just came here, but actually, in different forms, Ben has been coming here to learn and choose his prey since a whole month ago. The target that Ben chose was 2 employees of a large financial company. Because of the nature of their work, they have to trade a large amount of money every day. After a while of researching, Ben found out the rules of money transfer and withdrawal of these 2 people. Today, like every other day, these 2 employees have just finished withdrawing a large amount of money. They are about to return to the company. They did not expect that a terrible disaster was waiting for them outside the bank. As soon as the 2 walked out the door, Ben immediately walked in front of them. Without saying a word, Ben coldly fired 2 shots at the 2 poor people. Almost at the same time, both victims were hit in the head by bullets. Fresh blood splattered from the wound, created a scene of horror for the onlookers. Ben quickly walked over and picked up the money bag. As he turned around, Ben noticed a man standing in front of him. This person was a pedestrian who happened to pass by. Scared by the horrible sight before him, he was so scared that he could no longer walk. The poor man trembled as he looked at the robber. Perhaps never in his life had he felt such fear. For his part, though Ben had covered his face and wore dark glasses, but there was an urge in his mind that this man had seen his face clearly. That thought made him immediately make a decisive decision. Anyone who sees his face must die. Only pity for the unfortunate man, passing by the scene of the robbery at the wrong time, causing him to lose his life at the hands of a cold-blooded robber. After completing the robbery, Ben quickly ran towards the dangerous mountain near the city to evade the pursuit of the police. After half a day of listening to the situation, seeing that no one was chasing here, Ben just went to a cemetery near the mountain to check the money he just robbed. The first thing is that Ben couldn't believe his eyes anymore. Based on the weight of the bag, he knew there was a lot of money in there, but he didn't expect it to be so much. In the bag was 10 times the amount of money he robbed in the first robbery. To avoid the police investigation, Ben hid the stolen money, taking only a few with him. He plans to use this money to go to Kunming to hide for a while. When the situation stabilizes, he will return to get the rest of the money. But Ben did not expect that the extent of the robbery he had just caused was many times more dangerous than the first. Hence, the police conducted a large-scale investigation. Just out of the inner city, the car that Ben was driving was stopped by the police. After stopping the car, the police began to conduct a check on the passengers in the vehicle. The first person they noticed was Ben. Based on his training, the police quickly suspected that Ben had something hidden in him, and they asked him to take it out. At first, Ben planned to shoot down the policeman, then he would find a way to escape, but seconds later, he changed his mind. Not 1 but 3 policemen got on the bus. Immediately, they noticed the comrade standing in front of Ben. Faced with this situation, Ben made a wise decision. He knew that even if he fought back, he would not be able to escape from the siege of so many policemen. Ben immediately put his hand in his pocket, took out a pistol but had no intention of firing.